What's up guys, VernonSims here for another Sims 4 speed build. And on today's video, I'm going to be building the none other than Real Housewives of Atlanta's Shereé Whitfield's Chateau. Shereé is what she calls it. Now this is a part of my Real Housewives of Atlanta series. This is my second video. Be sure to check out my first video of Kenya Moore's Moore Manor. So with Shereé Whitfield's mega mansion, she has like the biggest home out of all the housewives. It was so fun building this. However, I really wish, per usual, that I could get it to the T, but I couldn't because you have your restrictions in the Sims 4 game. So I call this an inspiration after Shereé Whitfield's house. So I tried my best to mimic it as best I could, and as you can see of the photos to the left, those are actual photos of her home they're plastered all over online, so it was very easy to get those. So I tried my hardest to mimic as best I could with the limitations that I had in the game. The thing about this house is, I don't even know how many bedrooms it is. I think it's 3 bedrooms and I think like 4 or 5 bathrooms, I think. It's pretty simple. There's nothing too complicated about this house. The architectural style of Shereé Whitfield's house is really is very classic. It just reminds you of a castle, kinda. Just classic shapes, you know, the classic square shapes. A lot of square shapes, a lot of triangle shapes. Just classic style mansion. So it was kind of easy to, you know, mimic it as best I could with what I could do with it anyway. But yeah, lots of columns in the backyard there. The front part of the building was my favorite. I really like the centerpiece, the entryway. I love a grand entryway. It sets the mood for the whole, you know, it makes the home very balanced. I like a very balanced home. I like a very great grand entryway, balanced home. So that brought it all together for me. And I love the colors as well. This color here, I don't know what you call this color. It's in the brown family, I guess, but it goes well with the home. Sometimes building mansions, honestly, is a little exhausting because you have so much square footage, you have so much space, and you feel so much pressure to like fill in all this space, you know. And me, I don't like clutter. I hate clutter. I hate it in my real life and I hate it in the game. So I still try to fill in spaces as best I can, but at the same time, I try not to clutter it too much, if that makes sense. But yeah, it was so much fun building this house. It really didn't take as long as I thought it would. I really wish, you know, the Sims had better options with staircases. I wish they were like curved staircases. I wish we had so many different options with staircases instead of the classic staircase of just going up and down. I really wish, you know, well, of course you go up and down the steps, but you know what I mean. Like the staircases, I wish they curved. I wish they like did like a half curve. I just wish there was so many different options with staircases. But that's the restrictions you have. Maybe in the next series of Sims they'll change it up. They'll finally give us what we want. I kind of had a hard time sectioning off the rooms. Like it was very hard. That's the problem you run into when you're building big homes in the Sims. You don't know what to do with what space. You're trying to like map out in your head and eyeball what you want to be what, you know. And so sometimes with if you have an awkward floor plan, it can be really hard, you know, sectioning off sections of what you want, what rooms you want to be. But the first level was very easy. The second level was the hardest. I had to like cut away stuff and everything had to make sense. Floor plans, they have to make sense for me in this game. If they don't make sense, it's pointless to me. So like it has to make sense. Like in real life, it has to make sense, a floor plan in this game. You know, there has to be a bathroom on every level, you know. So a little bit about Shereé Whitfield. If you don't know who she is, guys, she is a housewife on the reality television show Real Housewives of Atlanta. The Real Housewives has like they have like a lot of franchises, okay? And Shereé Whitfield is in the Atlanta, Georgia franchise, okay? Shereé was like an original, like OG. Like she came in on the very first season of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. She's left, came back, left, came back. Currently, she's not in the television series, but Shereé has supposedly she's done a clothing line, and she is the wife of an ex-football player. So that's her like claim to fame, I guess you would say. And Shereé has 2 kids. She has a boy and a girl. And I remember it was one season where she was literally building this house from the ground up. She literally customized it to her liking. It like she didn't find this in a magazine and just said build it. She literally customized everything. There's a season where she's showing developers how she wants things to be with the floor plan. It's really cool how this home came about. It was a long process. I remember it being a long process for this home to be finished, and I remember it was a big deal because at some point she ran out of money and they had to stop construction on the house, and so she kind of ran into some issues with that, but she eventually got it together and she finished building the home. And we got a tour of the home on the show, as well as there's some YouTube videos floating around of her giving tours of it. So it's very extravagant. This home in the game, of course, does not do her real house justice, of course, but her home, I would say, would have to be I want to say it's my second favorite. My first favorite would be Kenya Moore. Shereé's would be my second favorite. Then Nene is my third favorite. And the reason why Shereé Whitfield is my second favorite is because I love the size of the home. It's really nice, but I'm an easy go-to contemporary modern guy. So that's why that's why she's number 1. But this home is beautiful. It's extravagant. Guys, I really encourage you to check out her tour online on YouTube here of her home. It's really nice. Chateau Shereé is what she calls it. She doesn't even really give a complete tour of the home. She has a huge basement. That was a big deal. I remember in an episode where her and Kenya Moore were actually battling, talking about whose house is the best and really stupid, childish stuff. But that made great TV, so they had to come up with that type of thing for the show. But obviously, Shereé Whitfield knocks Kenya Moore's house out the park, because Kenya Moore can fit 3 homes inside of Shereé Whitfield's homes, but it's not really about the size that matters, honestly. What really matters is what you do with the interior, because you can have a lot of space and not know what to do with it, child, and it just be a hot mess. But thankfully Shereé, she knew what to do. She hired designers, she hired everybody. She had I remember the episode where she had a housewarming party. It was really nice. Very nice home. I had a hard time with this house. The front part, I don't know if you can remember from the photo that I showed earlier in the video. There's like a cutout, like a half circle cutout. Of course, I can't do that in the game. There's nothing like that in the game that I can do. So I had to get creative and figure something out, because it just looked too plain. I couldn't do the cutout like in the photo. So I got creative and did my own little thing there. And then, of course, I put lighting all the way around the building to see what it looked like at night. And I had to play around with the trees and to see what looked good, what makes sense. And these trees, they made sense. They looked good with it. So that does it for today's video, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next week on the next Housewives home. See ya.